What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Football Game Show brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy here on Better Sports Network. Happy Labor Day to everyone watching. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-host, John-Luke Garofalo. And joining us today, we have our great friend, fantasy analyst extraordinaire, Alex Caruso here with us. What's up, Alex?
Oh, man, I'm so excited to be here. We got 3 more days until the action kicks off. I'm excited to be here talking ball with you guys and maybe get some redemption for the last time I played Pole Perception.
We will see. We
I
got
don't remember it, but I do remember it being embarrassing.
Craig in here letting us know exactly what happened. This is your 6th time appearing on the show, 2-1 in games. But like you mentioned, 0-1 in Pole Perception. Did not get that dub last time you were
I don't think I got the dub either. Somebody else got the dub, right? Joey?
I think it was Joey.
It was probably on that weird winning streak that he was on where he won like 20 out of 25 games there for a minute.
Wow.
Everybody watching, if you're not already following our friend Alex and checking out the work he's doing, you need to fix that right now. You can find him on Twitter at Alex Caruso. You can find his TikTok at Alex Caruso NFL. It's the same as his Twitter handle, just add NFL on the end of it. And then if you're looking for daily player props in your inbox, you should sign up for his newsletter, the Daily Prop newsletter as well.
Facts.
Straight facts, and there'll be facts in your inbox waiting for you. We got Scampers in the chat ready for today's show saying beautiful Labor Day afternoon, FYF fam.
What up, Scampers?
Meow. We got Albert stopping by to say hello to everybody. What's up, Albert? And Ladarius saying happy Labor Day all.
What's up, Ladarius?
We got some moms in the chat stopping by. What's up, Jail's mom? Says hello, FYF chatters and hosts. Glad to have you in here. And Dame stopping by as well to say hello, amazing humans. Very, very excited that we are close to real football.
So close.
Favorite Canadians sitting in the chat, Toronto Dave. Jail, I think I told you this the other day, but how I know we're close to football is the cashier at my local corner store just starts asking me really vague questions about fantasy football in the NFL because he knows that's what I'm into. And I think he wants me to have a nice, pleasant environment to go. But I'll walk and be like, hey, who are you taking first overall? And I'll be like, Justin Jefferson. They'll be like, what about that other guy? And then I'm like,
nope, that was 2 years ago.
Every single time.
Every time.
Maria stopping by with a hello as well. And
yeah, this is the time period where you start hearing all the random conversations, like at the restaurant, start being about Jonathan Taylor and my work league's PPR. And my ear starts popping off. I'm like, well, they're talking about fantasy.
Can't focus on anything.
I know.
We were in that Pros with Joe's draft the other night, and we were talking about this a little bit. And Florio speaks up and goes, I call those my August friends. They just show up once a year and reach out to me right around draft time. Those are my August buddies that show up. Also, Craig coming in with the hot details on that game. Tim won that game of Pole Perception with 11. Joey got second with 7.
That's
apparently
right.
Tied with Alex.
Jim helped Tim cheat
every day. That's all they're doing. Those Wright brothers. We got Anthony in the chat joining us. I'm guessing you got Labor Day off. So you get to come hang out with us live. What's up, Anthony?
What's up, Anthony?
Welcome in, my friends. Well, guys, like we have alluded to and more than alluded to, said outright multiple times, we brought Alex here to play Pole Perception with us today. Before we get into that, a couple reminders. First and foremost, if you're not already following Alex, I said it once. I'm saying it again now, and I'm going to say it again before the end of the show. Go follow him on Twitter at Alex Caruso. And make sure you check out his TikToks. You know, if you want to win at Alex Caruso NFL. After you do that, head on back over here to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy. Hit that subscribe button. We're live on Labor Day and every other day, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Subscribing and hitting that notification bell is the easiest way to make sure you don't miss out on any of that. And if you're looking for more goodness the week of NFL season, you can head to fantasyalarm.com/draft and start your 7-day free trial of their all-pro subscription. You don't have to look at Coops Goodies, JL, but they're in there in case you want them.
God, every time
Coops Goodies are sitting right there. Anthony down here with the 3-5 crew representing.
Let's go.
All right. Well, I'm going to explain the rules to today's game, and then we're going to go ahead and get started because we got some good polls. I imagine you'll have one or two things to say about them. The game today is Pole Perception. It's going to be head-to-head, John-Luke versus Alex. Before the show today, I found 7 delicious, succulent, interesting polls pertaining to the NFL or fantasy football. I'm going to propose one of those polls to our contestants, something like, what percentage of people would prefer side A, Saquon Barkley, over side B, DeAndre Hopkins in redraft this year? JL, you would give me a percentage.
88%.
something like 88%. And then Alex, your job would be to say whether the actual answer is over or under JL's answer. If you get that right, you're going to add 2 points to your score. And then JL, the closer you are to the actual number, the more points you're going to get. A max of 10 if you are exactly right. 1 if you're 15 away, and it scales up within that range. We're going to go back and forth through 6 polls like this, alternating who's setting the line and who's guessing over under until we get to our 7th and final poll, where there's no more over under BS. There's just numbers. That's all we're talking there. You're going to write down
numbers,
percentage of people that you think chose side A. Whoever's closest gets 5 points. Unless they're exactly right, we're still giving 10 in the final round. And whoever has the most points will be our poll perception champion. Alex, we will Venmo you. Our fax machine is broken. We're going to have to Venmo you Cole's Stack.
Yeah, we weren't sure if we were going to cancel the show or not, but we decided to just keep going. We'll just use Venmo.
Make it work.
Just taking a couple steps back, having to resort to Venmo right there. Oh. Also, Anthony stopping by saying it's so weird seeing Simon's jerseys on the wall. It's like an alternate reality. Yeah, they did live on the floor for quite some time down there.
It's just our normal reality now.
It was when I thought I was going to paint my office, but instead there's a gallon of paint under my desk that's been there for about 2 years now.
Ergonomic footrest.
But I'm a realist, and that's why my jerseys are on the wall now, because I've accepted I'm not painting my office. I just spent $32 on that gallon of paint or whatever a gallon of paint costs. With that being said, John Luke, I randomly decided before you were going to go first in today's game, followed by Alex. Are you ready for your first poll?
I'm ready.
Okay, here it is. Who is more likely to get benched for bad performance? Side A is Brock Purdy. Side B is Anthony Richardson. What percentage of people said Brock Purdy was more likely to get benched for bad performance?
I have to imagine this is leaning the Brock Purdy side because the draft capital. I'll go with 71%.
71% on the Brock Purdy side. Alex, do you think the actual percentage of people that chose the Brock Purdy side is more likely to get benched for bad performances over or under JL's guess of 71%? And before you do that, a reminder to everybody in the chat, if you've never played here before with us, throw your answers in the chat. We will shout you out if you're very right, mock you endlessly if you're very wrong, and just kind of say it and move on with our day if it's an average guess. Alex, are you taking the over or under on JL's guess of 71%?
I mean, this is tough because when you asked JL the question, my immediate thought where I would set the line was like 70. So this is like exactly where I probably would have gone with it on a line. But again, I'm trying to think of the general public and how they view things, because I think my mind wants to say that everybody's picking Brock Purdy, but I think polls tend to be maybe a little more even. So against my gut, I'm gonna say the under here on 71%.
Alex playing the poll and going against his gut. We'll see if it pays off. Took the under. We got some guesses in the chat. Before we do that, Better Boss, what's up, Matt? Stopping by saying happy week one. Happy
Let's
week one.
Go. What up, Matt?
Dame guessing 77%. Craig thinks it's 65. Agreeing with Matt at 65%. Anthony says 50%, right down the middle. Darius says 81. Albert was 63. Mr. Scampers with 91%. And I think I accidentally skipped Dave there at 59%. Well, the actual percentage of people that chose Brock Purdy as the more likely to get benched for bad performance was Dave had the best guess, 61%. John Luke, that is within 10. So you're going to earn 3 points. But Alex, going against your gut earns you 2 points on that one. And Alex, I did want to talk to you about Brock Purdy. You took the under. You said against your gut, you're going to take the under on that one. I feel like Brock Purdy's kind of been pushed to the side for fantasy purposes. We've talked a lot about the NFL situation, but how do you view him in maybe a super flex league as a quarterback on draft day?
I think in a super flex league, he's probably a solid QB2 for those kind of leagues. Like I know that last year, I mean, it was super small sample size, 5 starts, but I'm pretty sure he was a top 20 quarterback in every single game that he started. I would argue that he has probably the best overall weapons in the NFL with CMC, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, and Deebo Samuel. So I think that just having those weapons, if he is remotely competent, like he looked last year, way more than that, I think that he's going to be solid, at least for super flex leagues, probably never in a 1 QB league, but I think he's someone that'll give weekly consistency, might lack a little bit of ceiling, but again, a perfect second quarterback to have as far as fantasy.
I love that. And whenever you list out all of his weapons at one time, it sounds stupid. It sounds made up. Like I just don't hear all of their names together very often. But whenever you say CMC, George Kittle, Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, you're like, oh,
Took a little.
It sounds like a
little
fantasy
kid.
team. It sounds like a Madden Ultimate Team, and you're creating a franchise, and those guys just all happen to be on your team wearing the same jersey.
Or you're like playing against your nephew or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Just stack the team.
I used to do that in FIFA whenever my neighbor would go to the restroom. Like while he'd be in there, I'd go and I'd change the stats on some of my players to like 99. All of a sudden, he'd come back and I would just be killing them. No idea what happened. Sorry, Landon, if you're hearing this for the first time. Dame wants to know, has a good question for us. I was going to ask you about Anthony Richardson, but this kind of does that, John Luke. Who would you start week 1 between these two quarterbacks? Would you start Brock Purdy? Alex just mentioned maybe a lack of ceiling, but definitely feels safer than a rookie quarterback coming in. Or are you going to go with the upside of Anthony Richardson?
I haven't dug into the matchups for week 1. That is my homework for tomorrow. But just looking at these two players, Brock Purdy, and what was the other one we just talked about?
Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson, thank you. Yeah, I'm fine starting either of these quarterbacks. Both of them are, well, Brock Purdy, the team he's on, I'm fine throwing him in immediately. He's a starter on that team. He's got all those weapons, as Alex listed. I'm not afraid there. On the Anthony Richardson side, it might depend. If you're in a 1 QB league, I might sit Anthony Richardson. I might wait and just see what we got out of him. There's a lot more question marks for him than there is for Brock Purdy.
Alex, are you agreeing with John Luke here? How would you attack this situation if you're looking at both of these guys on your roster?
Yeah, I think I would have to go with Anthony Richardson just because of the immense rushing upside. I think it gives me a little bit more of a ceiling in my week 1 lineup. I think there's a lot of uncertainties in terms of who you're going to pick to actually play in your lineup or not play because no one's hurt yet. So you have a lot more options than you probably would later in the season. So when in doubt for something like that, I might go for a little bit more upside to make up for maybe some wrong decisions that I'm inevitably going to make.
We make no wrong decisions. None.
Never.
We're going to be perfect this year.
No,
I can't wait for the week 1 sleeper reports that all come in and say, you suck. Hey, guess what? All your decisions sucked and you lost. Congratulations.
See all these opportunities you had to make good decisions? You didn't take any of them. They all suck.
And because of that, I think I'm with you, Alex. I think I'm throwing Anthony Richardson in my lineup as well for some of that upside. But, Joe, you brought up an interesting point. You said in a 1 quarterback league. In a super flex league, if my first quarterback is a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson or a Justin Fields or a Justin Herbert, I might be a lot more willing to put Brock Purdy in there as my second quarterback because I've got all the upside I need in QB1, and I just need, let's hope for 15, 16 points out of Brock Purdy down there in the super flex spot.
Completely. Yeah, I'm with that 100%. I think, again, it just depends who you have at your other option. Super flex leagues, I think that makes it a lot more interesting. 1 QB, definitely got to be Anthony Richardson, but the 2 QB, bring up a good point on Purdy.
Well, John Luke, you're going to take an early lead here, but it is close. Great guess. Within 10 is going to get you 3. Alex, you've got 2 points to start us off by correctly picking the over-under, which means, Alex, it's time for your first poll. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
One of the guys we just talked about is in this one. What I want to know is which side would you prefer in a 12-team half PPR dynasty? Side A is Tony Pollard and Damian Harris. Side B is Brandon Ayuk and a 2024 first. What percentage of people would take the Tony Pollard and Damian Harris side of this trade?
Oh man, that is a tough one. I'm gonna say so taking the Tony Pollard and Damian Harris side, I think people are always in love with the younger running backs that they can take. So I think that will be the winning side ultimately over Ayuk in a first. So I'm gonna go with 53%.
53% on the Tony Pollard side?
Yep.
Okay, 53%. John Luke, do you think the actual answer is over or under Alex's guess of 53% there?
Oh boy, I'd be taking this trade so fast on side B. I'm gonna go under. I think more people will be on the Brandon Ayuk 2024 first.
We got John Luke on the under there. I see a question from Craig. We're going to hit that after this next poll. Dave in here guessed 36%. Dame thinks it's 35%. Anthony guessing 45%. And Ladarius with 42% on this one. Well, the actual percentage of people that chose Tony Pollard and Damian Harris over Brandon Ayuk and a 24 first was 18%. Alex, unfortunately, that is going to be no points for you. John Luke, you're going to earn 2 points for correctly picking the over-under.
17% was the first number I wrote down.
You would have been one off, but you're only going to get 2 points on that one. Alex, you seem surprised on this. What do you think was which player in this do you think threw it off for you between you and the public?
I think Tony Pollard did, because I know right now he's pretty much a consensus top 5 running back. Your favorite fantasy analyst definitely loves Tony Pollard this year for fantasy. And I think a lot of people always emphasize winning now. I know people love first round picks, but I thought that, Tony Pollard would end up winning out on this one as a whole, and just the idea of maybe he's the starter for the Cowboys for the next few years. But obviously I do not understand the public as well as I thought I did with that one.
I think there's some dynasty running back fatigue right now with all of the contract situations we've seen. We've already seen injuries derail stud careers somewhat recently. I think people are just really starting to value these younger, high-level wide receivers more than running backs that are currently at the top. And that 24 first for a team that's building that way is probably likely a running back. They grab one of those running backs, build their roster like that. John Luke, do you think this is a running back versus non-running back thing, or do you think there's something else at play causing this one to be so heavy on side B?
I don't know if it's a running back versus non-running back thing. I think that definitely plays into it. Wide receivers are going to retain their value a little better than the running backs, but Alex brings up a great point. Tony Pollard is a top 5 running back in redraft. And so as soon as I wrote down 17%, I thought, man, that's too low, because most of the time it feels like people are going way too heavy on the win now, and they're giving up a ton of value to try and increase their probability of winning this season just a little bit marginally, and they give up a ton of future value. And so I thought that this would skew back that way, and it didn't. So I'm pretty surprised by this.
Yeah, Brandon Ayuk's value is maybe a little higher than I thought it was. I also see we got Dave in here saying Twitter is obsessed with Brandon Ayuk.
That's true. Right. And Damian Harris is not he doesn't have a ton of value. Throw another piece in there, it might be a little more even.
And Dame saying Pollard not having a long-term deal is scary with the current running back market for sure.
It's a great point.
All right. And Dave said college just started, so there's extra hype around the 24 class as well. Week 1 of college football almost done. I saw some tweets out there saying week 1 was done. Don't forget Clemson plays tonight before week 1 is over, baby.
Against Duke.
All right. Well, John Luke, that is going to earn you 2 additional points. And I think I accidentally gave them to Alex. The score should be 5-2 after that one. But we still got plenty of game left. I think the closest person in the chat on that one was Albert with 27%. Nice job, Albert.
Good call, Albert.
Nice last minute guess. How do you feel about Ayuk versus Debo, Alex? That's a conversation that frequently gets brought up on the show, and I feel like I get mad every time it does.
I think I'm definitely team Ayuk here. Maybe my poll perception answer should have been more on that, but I definitely am a really big believer in Brandon Ayuk this year. I think that he's probably going to take over as the wide receiver 1, and especially in Dynasty. He's a lot younger. He's a lot better prospect. I think that he could be really interesting.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed if Ayuk does not have the second half of last season. If he doesn't get that exact outcome, I wonder if he will be considered a bust across the community.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good point. And especially playing on a lower volume passing offense, it's going to be curious how people kind of use that. Because I think that's going to hurt somebody like Debo and Kittle more. Ayuk's the cheapest option as far as redraft for this offense. So I think that he's the most worth it for me at cost. But this team has been bottom 5 in pass attempts 3 of the last 4 years. The only year they weren't, they had the worst defense in the NFL, and they're pretty much the consensus top defense in fantasy right now, at least.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I've been finding myself drafting a lot more George Kittle as the season approaches, just because as you get to that range of the draft, he's the last name of that top group that goes every single time. Yeah. And I just think about the end of last season and the magic between Purdy and Kittle. And if there's even a shot of them capturing some of that magic, that 7 touchdowns in 5 games, insane. I'm going to draft that there. I'm going to draft George Kittle in that range, and let's see if it pans out, because every other year I've drafted heavy Kittle. It has not worked out for me very well. We had a question from Craig in here. He said, Superflex League. I've got Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Najee Harris, P. Ryan, and Pacheco at running back. Keenan Allen, Jamar Chase, Amari Cooper, and Devonta Smith as his main wide receivers. He wants to know, would you trade Brandon Cooks for Brian Robinson, given the makeup of the rest of this team? Alex, would you be making that move?
All day, especially with the wide receivers that he has right now. I think that he can definitely have a little bit more to be gained at the running back position. I actually just made a trade for Brian Robinson this morning. I don't think I was as high enough on him earlier, and I'm definitely starting to really come around. And I know that one of their main beat reporters for the Commanders just put today in an ESPN article was saying that Brian Robinson's going to be their guy, and they really believe in him. And I know that second-year running backs make up like 50% of a running back's first top 12 season. Not saying Brian Robinson's going to get there, but second-year running backs seem to be the meta for as far as fantasy football goes.
You heard it here first. Brian Robinson, top 5 running back.
Alex
Caruso, NFL. Just kidding. No, I tend to agree with you on this trade, though. I feel much more secure with my wide receivers than I do with my running backs, especially with the Jonathan Taylor situation going on. And then there's just a lot of uncertainty outside of Najee Harris, really. Like, I trust that volume. Every other piece, there's a little bit more uncertainty, whether it be health or snaps or touches. I'll take Brian Robinson as an additional shot at the running back position. John Luke, is this going to be a sweep, or are you taking Brandon Cooks?
No, I'll take Brian Robinson as well. Yeah, just offset that risk with Jonathan Taylor being out the first 4 weeks.
Travis Unlimited here had a question for us. Said, is Jordan Addison worth picking up, or do I keep sitting on Nico Collins instead? Get Addison in that Vikings offense. Get Jordan Addison if Nico Collins is the other guy. You guys agree with me?
All day, every day, twice on Sundays. I have Addison ranked as a top 24 wide receiver this year. I think he's going to be really good from the get-go with upside for even more.
I'm willing to say 3 times on Sunday. As much as 3 times on Sunday.
I'm inventing an 8th day, and I'm drafting him on that day. It's called Blood Day. Blood Day. And I'm drafting Brandon Ayuk on that day, and Jordan Addison, because that's who we're talking about. Anthony in here had a question, said, you guys should have a game like around the horn. Just give points to your liking, Simon. I'm in. If I can just make these guys talk and then hand points out willy-nilly, that sounds phenomenal.
I would get so mad at that.
As you have 1 point at the end of the show.
Yeah, every single show.
All right. Well, that was poll number 2, which means, John Luke, we are back to you. The score is 5-2 after this. You're trying to extend your lead with this one, and here it is. Which side do you prefer in a 14-team PPR dynasty league? Side A is Mark Andrews and Sky Moore. Side B is TJ Hawkinson and Jahan Dotson. What percentage of people said Mark Andrews and Sky Moore in this poll?
Oh, what's the age difference between Andrews and Hawkinson? Oh, I don't remember. Sky Moore, Jahan Dotson. This feels like a trade that is pretty even. I'm going to go with 44%.
44% on the Mark Andrews and Sky Moore side?
Correct.
Alex is grimacing at that guess. I'm guessing it's close to the line he had in his head. Alex, are you taking the over or under on Jail's guess of 44%?
Oh man, that is tough. So I would need interesting. I know that people like I'm not a huge TJ Hawkinson guy, but I know people love TJ Hawkinson. And I know at the same time right now, anytime I tweet out literally anything that exists about Jahan Dotson right now, people are loving it. So I think the public is very in on Jahan Dotson. So I am going to take the under on 44% and say the TJ Hawkinson Dotson's going to be a little more favored.
Taking the under. If it doesn't seem super confident about it, we got some guesses in the chat. We'll see where they land on Jail's trade.
I thought I was being clever with that, but that was kind of what I was thinking, Alex, is that people have just been loving Jahan Dotson. My God.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. You can't turn on Twitter without seeing Jahan Dotson all over your place.
All over my place.
That's what they call the homepage of Twitter, right? Your place.
All over your place, yeah.
We got Anthony in here with 50%. Dame coming in with 55. Toronto Dave with 52. Ladarius says it's 47. And Dave says, this is a great trade. Albert popping in with 36% as well. Well, guys, the actual percentage of people that chose Mark Andrews and Sky Moore over TJ Hawkinson and Jahan Dotson was 41%. Good news for everybody. John Luke so close to getting
Wow.
it exactly right, but you're going to earn 5 points for that, guess, bringing you up to
Yeah.
10.
Alex was one of the few people who went under out of the chat.
Yeah, it was him and Albert. That was
Him and Albert, that's it.
That was it. Everybody else took
Yeah.
the over, but you and Albert were on it, being that it was under.
Impressive.
Alex, was it Jahan Dotson that made you push under? Was that the piece of that said this is going to be under?
Yeah, I was someone that was off Jahan Dotson at the beginning of this year, and as time went on, I really started to come around to the fact that Jahan Dotson's going to be a really, really good player for this year. So because of that, my newfound love for him, and I've been seeing more and more hype on Twitter and more people believing in him, and even the drafts that I'm getting, he's going higher and higher and higher. I'm very in on Jahan Dotson.
Does that have, whenever you look at Jahan Dotson having fantasy success, is that at the expense of Terry McLaurin or other receiving options there? Do you think he's going to start to ascend that depth chart to being more of the lead target?
I think so. If you know, like as Max Kellerman once said, that the Martians pointing the laser beams at the Earth, and I had to take one of those two wide receivers to be better in fantasy this year. I think I'm gonna take Jahan Dotson here and say that he ends up as the top wide receiver in Washington. You know, with McLaurin's toe injury, we're not sure about that. I just think that Dotson's actually just really, really good.
See the chat split on which side of this trade they would take. JL, which side of this trade are you taking? Are you taking the Hockenson and Dotson side like the consensus, or are you on the Andrew Sky Moore side?
This is really tough, and I think it comes down to like how I project Mark Andrews and TJ Hockenson going forward. Mark Andrews a little bit older, but the situation is so good. It's looking really good there in Baltimore. And he's been the main guy on that team. He has that rapport with Lamar Jackson. TJ Hockenson, boy, did they give him a lot of passes, a lot of targets last year in Minnesota. I think I would go I'd go side B on this. I think there's enough value in that gap between Jahan Dotson and Sky Moore.
I think this comes down to this trade, do you believe in Sky Moore separating himself from the other Chiefs wide receivers? I think if you do, I'm taking Mandrews over Hockenson in Dynasty.
Yeah.
8 days a week, like we said previously for Jordan Addison. But there is too big of a gap between Dotson and Sky Moore for me to consider that side. Alex, do you have any convictions when it comes to the Kansas City wide receiver room? Who's going to emerge?
Oh man, they have I think they kept 7 guys in their 53-man roster, so I don't think they even know. Like have conviction on who's going to be the lead guy. My money would have to go on Sky Moore, but I don't think it's going to be Kadarius Toney. They seem to just absolutely love Marquez Valdez-Scantling from an NFL perspective, because not everything's about fantasy football. But I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe Justin Ross or Rashee Rice makes an appearance. But man, that is a headache that is probably keeping Andy Reid up at night. That hopefully maybe grab a cheeseburger from the fridge and think about the best wide receiver to have on Sunday.
Just grab these guys in best ball.
Yeah.
Putting together a game plan, everything's figured out, but the blanks for the wide receivers are all open on every play call sheet. And he's like,
what do I do?
Just keeps erasing. You see Toney, but just like the vague remnants of it after the eraser's been written over.
He's gonna lose a bunch of weight because he can't sleep.
Yeah.
All right, well, John Luke, that's gonna get you a little bit more of a lead here, taking the lead 10-4 over Alex. But Alex, you can make that up in one poll right here. Dame says, "Give me Mandrews." I'm with you, Dame. I'm taking Mandrews over Hockenson. But in this trade, God, I'm probably on the Hockenson side. We got Carlos stopping by to say hello. Says, "Oh my, I just realized you guys were on."
Oh,
FYF
hey.
still puts in the work even when no one else does.
Labor Day, we thought that meant you had to work.
Yeah, we just wanted to hang out with our friends.
Mixed
actually.
it up.
Yeah, I haven't been working at all for like a year at this point. Today's the first day I'm on.
I thought this was the first day of work. What the hell?
Anthony in here saying, "All right, I got the rust off. I'm ready to go." Yeah, you got it on this next one. Dave says, "This is hot and sweaty." And we got Carlos stopping by saying, "Guys, I did it. I didn't think I would, but I pulled Bijan with my first overall pick. Bijan Robinson, number 1 overall. This is the ceiling. This is the ceiling of the hype, and we've reached it." And Carlos, you're not the only person I've seen draft him first overall. I've seen Bijan going first overall semi-regularly. John Luke, do you think Bijan has a chance of returning on a first overall draft pick this year?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. No chance.
I don't know if we've ever seen it. Have we seen? What's the last time we've seen that happen? No, I think he could. He definitely has the talent to do so. My concern just comes in on that offense and where they're going to use him in that offense. I'm all on Twitter. If you've been on Twitter today, you've seen people posting captions of Kyle Pitts related snippet from The Athletic, talking about how Kyle Pitts is not going to be heavily utilized in that offense. And I'm sitting here reading these and I'm thinking, what are they? Who are they going to use? Are they going to use Bijan Robinson? Are they going to just lean heavily on him and feed him the ball for 2,000 yards? Just give him the ball like a Derrick Henry style usage? I don't think that's the case. And so, there's definitely risk at one-on-one, but I like the call, Carlos, and you most certainly threw off your league mates.
Carlos, what I like about it is I can't think of a safer volume play rookie that I've ever seen. Tyler Algier had almost 220 touches in that offense last year. Cordero Patterson had another 150. Like, if Bijan doesn't get 250 plus touches in that offense, I'm going to be shocked. Alex, where do you stand on Bijan going into this year? He's the most hyped player.
I am all in on him. Like anytime he goes after like the first 3 or 4 picks, like I don't even care about how many shares of him I have. He's just an auto draft for me at this point. I think that I personally would probably take him 3rd overall right now. Maybe 4th overall. I think it just kind of depends. Like I think that taking him at first is ambitious, but outside of Justin Jefferson, I think there's an argument to be made to take Bijan over pretty much any player. Doesn't mean I would do it, but there's 100% argument there for taking that pick.
Carlos says, clarification, my first pick, not overall. Even better, man.
100% in on with you, Carlos. Let's ride.
Woo!
First round pick, totally cool with it.
And we got some confirmation here. Ladarius, who's going to be calling some of the plays for the Falcons this year, says plenty of carries and targets for Bijan guaranteed.
I appreciate that.
Here, Ladarius.
Move him up the board. All right. Well, John Luke, you're up 10-4 after that poll. But Alex, it's your turn to try to mount a comeback here. Are you ready for the next one?
Oh, I'm born ready.
Here's what I want to know. Who will be the Colts starting back while Jonathan Taylor is starting back? Will be the Colts starting RB while Jonathan Taylor is out the first 4 weeks? Side A is Deion Jackson. Side B is Zach Moss. And side C is Evan Hull. What percentage of people said Deion Jackson in this poll?
Oh, man. This is so hard to set a line of like almost anything you could ask me, because personally I'm an Evan Hull guy, but I know there's been reports of Deion Jackson, and I know that Twitter likes Deion Jackson more than I do, but how much do they like him over Zach Moss or Evan Hull? That is the $1 million question. That is tough. I am going to go right on the money, and I'm going to go for, let's say, 55%. I think it's going to be a little favored towards him, but maybe not too much. Maybe it's a little bit more, but I think 55 is probably going to end up where it is.
55 on the Deion Jackson side over both Zach Moss and Evan Hull. Is that locked in, Alex?
That is a locked in, Simon. I hope it's exactly 55.
Well, we'll see. John Luke, do you think the actual answer is over or under Alex's guess of 55% here?
These ones are tough because it's starting running back. And so we could split them up evenly, 33% across, but I think 55% is a decent number. I'll go with under. John
Luke taking the under. We got some guesses in the chat as well. Anthony agrees with you exactly, Alex, saying 55%. Oh. Dame says 61. Ladarius with 49. Albert with 45. And Maria, we got 3 people on the 55 bandwagon saying 55 on the money. Craig saying 42%. Well, the actual percentage of people that chose Deion Jackson over both Zach Moss and Evan Hull in this poll was 45%. Alex, you're within 10, so that is going to earn you 3 points. And John Luke, you're going to earn 2 for correctly picking the over-under. So making up a little bit of ground here, making the score 7-12. Keeping it within 5 is the important part of the game here, because then it's anybody's game in that final round. 12-7.
Thought that was Alex, it.
You mentioned you're an Evan Hull guy over both Deion Jackson and Zach Moss, so it might have made this poll hard for you. What about Evan Hull makes you think he's going to be the one
I just love that, like, well, they first of all, they just took him in the draft. I thought that in the few snaps that we saw in preseason that Evan Hull looked a little bit more explosive. I know he's a little bit smaller than Deion Jackson, but he was a better pass catcher coming out of college. I know they might not be throwing to running backs, Anthony Richardson at QB, but I do think they're going to be trailing in a lot of games, and I think that Evan Hull is going to be the guy that they go to in those situations, just which is why I would give him the edge and going for the ceiling with the pass catching, obviously.
That makes a lot of sense. Why shoot for maybe the player that even if they do earn the starting job isn't going to do much for your fantasy team? We've seen that in the past. Just because someone is the starting running back in place of an injury doesn't mean not every team's the Steelers where you can just plug that guy in and automatically assume fantasy value.
Yeah, none of these names really stick out enough to me to where I'm thinking, why would they need to lean on any single one of them? Why couldn't they use them all more? Maybe a little more in like a distributed fashion, like you're saying, Alex. So I think that's a good call.
I think there's a very real chance Anthony Richardson leads the team in rushing yards after the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, and as he's figuring out the NFL and his getting in his rhythm, I doubt he's going to have one established running back.
We'll see how it plays out there. Shout out Albert in the chat, getting that one exactly
Albert.
Right. Nice job, Albert. Killing it. Also, Maria backtracking, saying, I was just quoting Alex, but I do believe in him. You got the belief of Maria, but she was not on the same page as you. With that being
on
said,
the 55 on the money, that's what she was talking about.
Yeah, coming in and saying she was agreeing with Alex.
I see.
All right, we are going to move on to our next poll. We've got 2 more left before we roll into the final poll. This one is John Luke's. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What I want to know is, which side do you prefer in 12-team Superflex PPR tight end premium dynasty? So a lot of pieces here. Side A is Bryce Young. Side B is T. Higgins plus Josh Downs plus Mike Gesicki. What percentage of people said Bryce Young in this trade?
12-team Superflex PPR tight end premium dynasty. That's a lot of qualifiers.
A doozy of qualifier list.
T. Higgins, Josh Downs, Mike Gesicki. Do they all add up to Bryce Young's value in Superflex? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to go with 58%.
58% on the Bryce Young side?
Yes.
Okay. Alex, do you think the actual percentage of people is over or under JL's guess of 58% on that Bryce Young side?
Man, just because it's Superflex, I am going to take. Oh man, it's T. Higgins. T. Higgins is good. I'm going to go with the over here just because it's Bryce Young. I bet JL will be within 10 here. I think that's a money guess by the man himself. But I'm gonna take the over on 58.
58% from John Luke, the over from Alex, and we've got some answers coming in the chat. We've got 63 from Ladarius, 50 from Dame, 53 from Anthony, and then Albert coming in with 72%. So we got some answers on either side, some overs, some unders. Those. The actual percentage of people that chose Bryce Young over T. Higgins, Josh Downs, and Mike Gesicki in a 12-team Dynasty Superflex PPR tight end premium league was 50%. Right down the middle, exactly 50%, which means John Luke, you're within 10, is going to earn you an additional 3 points, bringing you up to 15. Unfortunately, Alex, you're on the wrong side of the over-under there. So no points going to go your way. Alex, where do you stand on Bryce Young? I know he got a lot of flack for being short, for being small, but then he seems to be drafted into an okay situation relative to where first overall picks usually end up.
Yeah, relative to first overall picks, definitely. I don't like him at all this year. Like I like him as a prospect. One of my good friends from high school was in a group project with Bryce Young at Alabama, so I have some bias because I know somebody that knows Bryce Young. But I think that as far as fantasy football goes, I'm not really big on the DJ Shark, Adam Thielen train, and some of the guys they have out there. So I don't believe as much this year, but long term, if they can get him some weapons and a number one wide receiver, I'm definitely a Bryce Young believer. I
don't know, someone like DJ Moore, you could say, if they could get a guy like that in that offense, that could really help out a young quarterback like Bryce Young. We had a couple. So go ahead,
George in the
John.
chat said, I just got offered Najee Harris and Amari Cooper for Tony Pollard. Is that worth it? Full PPR. What do you guys think?
I'm taking that. I know Tony Pollard has top 5 upside, but Najee Harris has maybe the safest volume in the entire league and has top 5 upside. You're getting a wide receiver 1 and a potential RB1 for an RB1. I'm taking it.
Yep.
Yeah, the only situation I could see, it could make sense to consolidate like this, especially before the season. Give yourself that extra bench spot, but the value has to make sense, and it doesn't here. So yeah, take it.
I'm taking those two guys. Ice Stray Gaming had a question in here for us as well. Said, if I'm wanting to trade Jonathan Taylor for another running back, what's a good value for JT? So a lot of uncertainty. Let's take the question the way it's asked. If I'm wanting to trade Jonathan Taylor, because my initial response is to say, don't trade Jonathan Taylor. Just hold on. This is the worst time you could trade him. But I understand there's risk that he doesn't play at all this season. Alex, if you're looking to trade JT, what kind of return are you looking to get back?
Oh man, that's a great question because I don't want much Jonathan Taylor on any team. I like my sleep at night. Jonathan Taylor is not somebody that helps you get 8 hours when he's on your fantasy team. I think somebody like I saw him go for straight up for James Conner in a league, which I think is a fair return given the headache of Taylor. I'd probably want somebody more like Javonte Williams, who's going in the same range, but I think has a little bit more upside that can be worth it, especially when Taylor's out for 4 games, maybe more. We don't know what's going to happen. But I think that I'm gonna say about Javonte Williams would be a solid return, even though that's not probably the return that other people would want for someone as talented as Jonathan Taylor.
I think that I like that range. And in that same range, I think Rachaad White would probably fall in a similar range. And that's a player along with Devontae. I would try to. David Montgomery's another great name. Dude should have a lot of touchdown upside in that offense.
You're taking off, just be aware of what you're doing here, right? You're trading off that risk, but you're going to give up a significant amount of value on Jonathan Taylor. And he comes back week 5, and he's his old self, and he plays.
He's Jonathan Taylor.
He's going to be Jonathan Taylor in week 5, and he could be very good and a very nice late season advantage.
So I don't know if we shouted out Dame. We put the comment up there, but I can't remember. Dame got that one exactly right, and she's apologizing for any squeals to her neighbors. We'll just wait till you get the next one exactly right. We got Brady stopping by, wants to know, go Tigers, and I want to know, go Tigers. What's up, Brady? Welcome in. Antonio had a question for us. Would you do Lamar and Olave for Herbert and A.J. Brown, PPR? JL, what do you think when you look at this trade?
Lamar and Olave for Herbert and A.J. Brown. It feels a little too lateral. I think I'd rather stick with Herbert and A.J. Brown. But yeah, I guess it depends on on which of these players you are bought into or not. If you don't buy into one of these players, then go with whatever side they're not on.
Alex, where are you sitting on this one?
I like Herbert and Lamar pretty much even. I think I have Lamar slightly above him. I love Chris Olave this year. I think my fantasy Twitter feed would support that. But I think A.J. Brown is just absolutely next level, and the drop off from Lamar to Herbert is like beyond minimal. I have them pretty much evenly. So I would definitely keep Herbert and A.J. Brown and just trust the safety plus the upside that both of those two give you.
I tend to agree with you guys. I'm sticking with I think Herbert's upside is just as high as Lamar Jackson's with Kellen Moore in town there in Los Angeles. It's not a removing upside, maybe removing some of that safety from the rushing floor that you get with Lamar, but man, the drop off from Brown to Olave isn't enough for me. All right. Well, we got one more question here, then we're going to get into our next poll. JJ stopping by. What's up, JJ? Said, who would you start if you have to start one? Breece Hall, J.K. Dobbins, or David Montgomery? John Luke, if you're starting one of those players, who is it?
Unless we get more news before Thursday, it's probably going to be Dobbins.
What about you, Alex?
Yeah, I'd probably go Dobbins. Playing the Texans, one of the worst run defenses in all of football the last couple of years. Last year, I think that's probably the safe option. I want to say Breece Hall, but David Montgomery's playing the Chiefs. Probably doesn't get as much passing down work. I'd probably lean Dobbins, even if it's a little ugly there.
I'm with you guys. It's going to be Dobbins for me. Anthony coming in saying Monty week 1, though. They're against the Chiefs. I'm avoiding David Montgomery in that matchup like Alex, but I don't mind it. I think he's going to have a role in this offense this year. All right. With that being said, we're going to move into our next poll, the penultimate poll. Alex, this one is yours. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The question was, Who would you draft first overall in a standard league? Side A, Christian McCaffrey. Side B, Nick Chubb. Side C, Justin Jefferson. Or side D, Jamar Chase? What percentage of people said side A, Christian McCaffrey? 4 choices on this one.
Standard league, Christian McCaffrey. I still think that Justin Jefferson is going to be the guy. Man, this is a tough one. So I got to get this. I got to get close here to get back in the game. I'm gonna say it's low, and I'm gonna say 17%.
17%, locking that in.
I'm gonna lock that in.
Okay, 17% on the Christian McCaffrey side. John Luke, do you think the actual answer is over or under Alex's guess there of 17%?
I think it's over. I think it's over 17% because I think CMC is going to score a lot of touchdowns.
I like that analysis. We got some guesses in the chat as well down here. Anthony with 22% also thinks CMC is going to score a lot of touchdowns. Dave thinks he's only going to score moderate touchdowns with 15%. Scampers thinks it's heavily on the CMC side with 44%. And Ladarius down there at 13%. So we got answers a little all over the place on this one. The actual percentage of people that said they would take Christian McCaffrey over Nick Chubb, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase first overall was 19%. Alex, that is within 5, which is going to earn you 5 points. John Luke, you correctly picked the over-under, which is going to earn you 2. So that brings you to 17 and Alex 2.
Thank you.
What is my math here? 7 plus 5 is 12. Nice. Alex, that's going to bring you up to 12 points with a score of 17-12, meaning you are within range on this final poll, baby.
Can't close the deal, JL. You just can't do it. Can you?
Always got to be stressful until the very end. Alex, if you're playing in a standard league, which of these players are you taking first overall? Is it still Justin Jefferson without the PPR?
Yeah, it's got to be Justin Jefferson. I mean, I think he was so much better than every other player in at least half PPR and PPR formats last year. And I think that he's still getting better. And I think that, no Dalvin Cook, maybe they throw the ball even more, who knows? But I think because he's still ascending, it's got to be him for me for sure. I don't mind the other guys, but Justin Jefferson is just far and away the safest option that also could just end up blowing the league to shreds.
John Luke, are you in agreement here? Justin Jefferson's the 101.
I think I would go CMC over Justin Jefferson, but it is close. It is very close. The fact that they're not going to get that PPR boost, I think, hurts both of these guys. I think you can even make an argument for Nick Chubb, although I don't believe in his offense more than Justin Jefferson and Christian McCaffrey. So I think it's a toss-up between CMC and Justin Jefferson. I lean CMC, though.
I like the call out for Nick Chubb, though. He was a top 5 running back in standard leagues last year and only about 20 points separated from number 1 overall, which was Josh Jacobs. So Nick Chubb gets a significant boost sitting there in standard leagues than he does in normal leagues. And Joe, you read this one pretty well. Justin Jefferson did win this poll with 60% total. CMC
60.
came in second with 19. Yes, 60.
Dang.
Chubb came in third with 12, and Jamar Chase came in last with 9% on this poll.
9%. Well done, Alex.
Sitting down there at the end.
Thank God that wasn't my fault. I would have got wrecked.
All right. Well, guys, the score is 17-12, which means, Alex, you could tie this up with this final poll. If you are closer, you can win outright if you get it exactly right. JL, you can win this game if you get closer. Before we get into that, a couple of questions. JJ had another week 1 question for us. Wants to know Joe Burrow or Geno week 1. Alex, which of these 2 quarterbacks are you rolling out there in their week 1 matchup?
It's got to be Joe Burrow. I mean, they're playing the Steelers. I don't love their cornerbacks. I think this offense takes big advantage of them to begin the season. I might be wrong. They might be playing Cleveland. It's one of those 2. But either way, both corners, not exactly what you're going to be dying for week 1. And I think that Joe Burrow tears them to shreds no matter who it is in a divisional game.
Geno Smith is playing the Rams, and then Joe Burrow is playing Cleveland this week. John Luke, are you agreeing with Alex here?
Yeah, I wouldn't. At first, I was thinking the matchups too, but thinking through the players, I'm starting Burrow over Geno for sure.
Well, I saw a report today that the Browns' number 1 corner might be out for week 1 after dealing with a concussion that he's still not returned from. And if he is out, if the Browns' number 1 corner is out week 1, Joe Burrow's back to full health. Oh man, that is not going to be good for Cleveland. Sneaky
cigars ready.
Maybe.
just pick up where they left off last year with that secondary. They tried to address it in the offseason, but it may not be any good. Garrett had another question for us, a trade question. Wants to know, should I trade away Olave and James Cook for Garrett Wilson? Alex, I see you shaking your head no. That's too much for you to give up for Garrett Wilson?
Yeah, I think that Wilson and Olave are pretty similar, and James Cook is someone that has been heavily touted as a league winner by a number of analysts. I 100% see the case. I think the drop-off is pretty minimal. Upside for James Cook is phenomenal.
John Luke, do you agree with this, or are you enamored by Garrett Wilson enough to send away Olave and James Cook?
This is tough because it hit my sweet spot of players I like and dislike. But no, Alex is absolutely right. That is too much to give up for Garrett Wilson. I would rather have Garrett Wilson over Olave, but it's not. They're within the same tier, I think.
My office produces coffee randomly. It just showed up right in front of me. Absolutely magic. Oh my God, that's delicious. All right. Well, guys, we are moving into our final poll right here. Jail, did it work for you?
No.
You just have to stick your hand off. You just have to stick your hand off camera and then things come back. Oh, not a coffee. It was a rubber duck this time. Weird. I'll have to try it out again later. Ooh, Jail, what is that? Stop sticking your hand out there. Here is the final poll coming your way. Both of you guys, do you have pen and paper ready? Something you can write on.
Yeah.
Okay. With a score of 17-12, your final poll is Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football? Side A is Sunday. Side B is Monday. What percentage of people said side A Sunday? While you guys are figuring that out, I'm going to remind everybody listening, if you have not done so already and you're getting ready for some drafts later this week, the next couple of days, you should head to frontyardfantasy.com and check out the FYFD Classified Draft Guide. It's got all of our goodies in there, none of Joey's feet, some sick guides to help you prepare for your draft, and some sick guides to help you prepare for things that are not related to your draft at all whatsoever.
Like your taxes?
No, because I don't know how to do my taxes. So that will not be in there. You can get that at frontyardfantasy.com. And by purchasing it, today is the last day that you will qualify to enter into our listener league. So if you want to play against us in a Guillotine League this year, get that FYFD Classified Draft Guide, and you'll automatically be entered to have your spot in that league drafting Wednesday. All right.
Yep.
You guys have your guesses?
We do.
Yep.
Let's see them.
I got...
Is that 69% from Alex?
That is 69%.
Which direction?
Jail, there are so many numbers on your page.
I'm on the wrong 44%. Let's go.
44% from JL. So JL thinks people
way.
like Monday Night Football better. Alex thinks people like Sunday Night Football better. We got some answers in the chat. Toronto Dave with 78%. Mr. Scampers with 11%. Dame coming in with 59%.
All over the place.
With 67%. Brady with 46%.
Let's go, Brady.
Well, the actual percentage people that said Sunday Night Football based on over 16,000 votes was 79%. Alex, meaning you are going to tie this game up 17-16, robbing Jail of that victory on Labor Day.
Oh my God, this is the most embarrassing tie I've ever had.
I see Craig and they're asking if I have a tiebreaker. I do not have a tiebreaker, which means this game is ending in a tie, 17-17. Alex, congratulations on your tie here. Your first non-loss in poll perception.
First non-loss. It's your first non-loss. Woo!
Yeah, I'm so happy to find a way to tie that. I thought I was down deep in the water, but man, that the last question saved me. 69, the most glorious number in the English language, saved me once again from another poll perception loss.
Bringing you up to 17. This was a pretty high scoring game right here. It's week one. Before we go though, Alex, do you like Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football better?
Oh, I'm a Sunday Night Football guy. I love Monday Night Football. The more days with football on, the better. But there's nothing better than getting like a small little hour break after after the first two games of the day, and then at the end you get to just enjoy even more football. A full 11 or 12 hours on a Sunday. There's nothing really better than that hits different than the best game of the day, usually for last.
I'm with you. And it's the first game of the day where I can sometimes close my laptop. You know what I mean? Where I can just sit there and watch that game on a Sunday night. That's not happening on Monday night, baby. Craig stopped by and said, this is the second time in 2 games we have had a tie. I think that is a record. It's 2 ties in a row. And Scamper saying, Jail snatched a tie from the jaws of victory.
So close. Save that bad boy.
Also,
Save
Shraggy
that
stopping
dub.
by.
Turned it into
Speaking
an L.
truth in the chat with Rashad White is a huge sleeper. I'm with you.
What
I'm
up, my
drafting
friend? Good to
Rashad
see
White
you.
everywhere this year. What's up, Shraggy? Dame coming by saying, terrific game, terrific ending. It's Campers with the congrats to
Debatable.
both of you. That is going to be it for us today. Congratulations, Alex, on the tie, and John Luke, congratulations on the tie to you as well. 17 to 17.
Why does it feel better for Alex and worse for me?
Because he came back. Because he pulled it out at the last second, and you were just trying to hold on to victory and couldn't quite keep it. That is going to be it for us today, everybody. If you're not already following our friend Alex, it's that time of year. If you want to win your leagues, you should go follow him right now on Twitter at Alex Caruso, and check out his TikToks at Alex Caruso NFL as well.
And
Alex,
the newsletter, check it out. Go subscribe now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang out with us.
Oh man, it was so much fun. Always happy to come on. Pole perception or not, still undefeated, I think, in Jeopardy. Hopefully I get to defend that once again before the season is over. But again, appreciate you guys having me. All love here, and I love the community that you guys are building.
With a record of 2-1-1, Alex is signing off, but he'll be back to try to add another dub to that dub column. With that being said, we'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time for some more fantasy football game show fun. If we find Joey, he'll be here as well, but I don't know. I'm kind of busy tonight, so I'm not sure I'll have time to look for him. Until then, though, we are out of here. Enjoy your Monday. Happy Labor Day. Adios, everybody.
Bye-bye.